stop crying or why are you crying?
You said stop crying?
No,
Damn, if you ever said stop crying, we would not be here today.
I didn't say stop crying. It feels like we'll never get out of this.
And you learn so much about that person when you see their bad side.
You reacted by crying.
Yeah. Yep,
Hallie.
see? Yep, there you go. There you have it.
We were both crying in the car.
Oh, gosh. Do you cry when you get mad? I do.
I don't.
I get so mad at something and so frustrated that I just start crying.
I think it's because I wanted whatever the song represented.
Me
which is
too.
Which is like love. I wanted love.
Some of the other things that make me cry are when animals die in movies, obviously. What actually makes us cry? Today, we're getting a little emotional. We're going to be talking about what makes us cry and the first time that Suketu and I cried in front of each other.
Because honestly, crying in front of your partner is not fun. It's also very uncomfortable, but it happens to all of us, so we need to talk about it.
If you're trying to get better at being emotionally honest, then this episode is for you. Let's get into it, Half Past Crew.
Welcome to
Half Past Cha.
Guys, welcome back to another episode. It's a mini episode today for you all, so hopefully it's nice and digestible. Just so you know, we release new episodes every Monday at 7 a.m. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, like this video. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcast, you got to give us 5 whole stars. If you don't know who we are, my name is K2.
My name is Hallie.
And we are an interracial married couple. I'm Indian.
I'm super white.
If you can't already tell, she is very much
We make it our whole identity.
That's us. And that's what we talk about on this podcast. We talk about being an interracial couple. We talk about relationships. We also talk about questions from you because you guys go to www.halfpastcha.com where you submit your questions and stories. Let's get into this episode. Settle in, get cozy, and grab your jaw.
We're going to be extra digestible today.
Very digestible.
Good for your digestive system and your digestive tract.
Yeah.
And your toilet.
Especially when you cry.
Yeah.
Right, Hallie?
Oh my God, I cry at everything. So do you. We're just a bunch of emotional babies. And the fact that we're together and we're both emotional is not, I don't know, it's a good and a bad thing.
I was never that emotional. I was emotional, but Hallie really taught me to understand my emotions.
Oh, really?
Because I feel like it was frowned upon as a man to cry.
Yeah.
You know? But
That's changing. That's changing.
I'm going to be honest. I used to cry a lot.
Oh.
I used to cry when Jesse McCartney came on.
Oh,
right?
Beautiful.
I used to like look out the window and just like
on
start
the bus?
crying. I would. And I have no idea why. I think it's because I wanted whatever the song represented.
Me too.
Which is like love. I wanted love. And like every single love song was like super famous. And then, so you listen to it and you start crying because you don't have that love.
Maybe that's why we're meant for each other. Man, I used to do the same thing. I would cry so much. I used to be obsessed with One Direction, still am. But I remember hearing their songs and they would sing about girls. And I'd be like, I want to be that girl. I want to be that girl. I want a man as I'm like 12 years old. I want a man who will love me for who I am.
I wanted a woman.
Yeah.
I really did. I was a romantic. I was always a romantic.
Here we are.
I wanted a relationship. I really wanted a girlfriend. I remember since I was in first grade, I wanted a girlfriend. Like I was like the first thing you do going into class, I was like, I wonder who could be my girlfriend. That's the first thing I think of.
That's what lonely kids do, because I was lonely too, and I thought the same thing.
Maybe everybody does that.
I don't know. The popular people I knew, they were all with each other, so I don't know if maybe they didn't care, but I cared because I didn't really have that. Maybe that was it. What else makes you cry?
It's mostly everybody. If you see your mom cry, you're gonna cry. Like there's no way I can see my mom cry and not cry.
That's the worst.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
What about you? What else makes you cry?
So many things. Do we have time?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
This is a mini episode, so we might not have enough time.
I actually wrote a list, everybody. Obviously, feeling sad makes me cry. So anything that makes me sad, or just feeling hurt, or like if I get physically injured. I do have one quick story. There was one time that I played in an adult softball league, and growing up, I hated crying in front of people, and I still do. And I do everything I can not to cry in front of people. I don't know what it is. I just feel kind of embarrassed and ashamed, and I don't know why. I don't know why. It's not like my parents ever made me feel bad for crying growing up, but I think that's just something that is instilled within people, is that I don't know if anybody likes crying in front of people. Let's just put it that way. And this was in 2019, and I was at second base, okay, in this adult softball league. You weren't there. You were filming a wedding, which sucked because you weren't even there. And this dude hit a softball, and it went straight. He hit it so hard. It's like a 40-year-old guy, okay, who'd been playing this league for a long time. Hit a ball, hits the ground, bounces up, hits me straight in the eye, and in the eye and the mouth. So like my teeth and my face and like my cheekbone, everything. And I instantly just got really red, and oh my gosh, it hurt so bad. And if it would have just been me, I would have burst into tears. But there were like 30 to 40 people around. And I started laughing because I was trying to control my crying. And you weren't there. I think if you would have been there and if you would have hugged me and been like, oh, baby, it's okay, I would have been like, ah! But I was trying not to cry. I think there were like some tears streaming down my face, but I was hysterically laughing. So to this day, I still hate when people see me cry. So I don't know. I don't know what my deal is.
I have a funny story with that one as well, about being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
When my dad saw me get hurt, he would start laughing. He would always do that. And I think it was intentional in terms of like he wanted me to feel okay and laugh with him. And I think that's why he did it. And it really messed me up because like I really could not process getting hurt. So like whenever, like I remember this so vividly, I was riding a bike and then I was trying to show off to my parents saying, hey, look, no hands. Like I was like standing up on my bike with no hands. Stupid idea. And then I fall and like the handlebars like scrape my stomach. And so I start bleeding and my dad runs over, he's laughing. And then my mom runs over and she's like, oh my God, are you okay? Like all these things. And then I start crying immediately. I was laughing when my dad was laughing. And then when my mom started freaking out, I started crying.
Wait, that's such a, what?
And it's a thing with babies too. It's like where when a baby falls or gets hurt, you do not acknowledge it. And the baby usually won't cry.
Interesting.
But if you acknowledge the baby getting hurt, like if they hit their head, if they fall on the floor, whatever it is, and then you're like, oh my God, like they immediately start crying. So my dad uses that logic on me when I was a kid. And so he never came running to me. He never, like if I got hurt, he would laugh. So that's another thing about me is like, I usually, when I get hurt, I'll start laughing. Like even today, like.
Well, that's good, I guess.
I don't know.
I really don't have an opinion on that. I don't really know. I mean, I don't know where I stand on that. Yeah. That's such a weird concept. It's
a weird concept. But it feels like when you were hurt in that situation, you didn't cry because no one else made you feel like you needed to cry.
I just didn't want to. I don't know. But anyway, some of the other things that make me cry are when animals die in movies, obviously. Not people usually, but like when animals die. Oh my gosh, that's so heartbreaking. Like the whole squirrel. Do you remember, what's the squirrel? Do you remember that squirrel that they euthanized? It was like this man's, oh my God.
This man who owned a squirrel and then the government found out you're not allowed to own squirrels. So then they killed the squirrel.
Oh my God. That wrecked me probably for a week. I thought about that every single day. That and the relationship that's a whole thing. We're not getting started on that. That still breaks my heart. Watching other people cry. I'm very empathetic. So like we're in the business of videography and photography. So naturally, if people do proposals or weddings or whatever, ceremonies, and people are crying, I'm trying to take photos and I'm like, crying every time. And then I can't see because my eyes are sobbing.
That's also my number 2 is hearing emotional speeches. Oh. That's hard. I can't. It's difficult, especially as a videographer. It's not easy.
It is. Stress, movies, even if I've seen it a million times. So like Inside Out, oh my gosh, every time wrecks me. In New Girl, when Schmidt proposes to Cece, I lose it. And then last that I have is watching people run marathons when they cross the finish line and that they have people cheering them on and supporting them. I can't help it. Fun fact, I'm running the New York City Marathon. Whoop whoop! And I cry every time I think about it because I'm so excited to run it and to do it. And it's a dream. So that's a huge thing. But watching people do something really hard and push themselves, and same with me, if I do something that I'm really proud of myself for, I will cry.
Yeah. I can see that. I have that on my list as well. Let me go through mine. When I accomplished something that's really hard. When I first got a call from my first job offer, I legit was like, oh my God, thank you so much. I hung up the phone and I started crying. It was like the lowest offer that I could have gotten. But the fact that somebody chose me after 4 years in school, like that was such an amazing moment that I just could not control myself. And I remember you coming up. I think you coming up to me.
I think I made
and
you cry.
congratulating me made me cry.
We were at Olive Garden. We were at the Garden. Everybody.
The Garden.
Yeah.
Shout out. Shout out to the Garden. But yeah,
we're sponsored by the Garden.
That was great. That was a great cry. It was a good cry. There's good cries and there's bad cries.
Yes.
Let's talk about a bad cry. When I do something to upset Hallie, is a bad cry. Okay. The reason that I start crying usually is she is really good at explaining my emotions. She's so in tune, emotionally intelligent, where she can explain what I did wrong. And then I feel super bad. I feel bad to like, why didn't I acknowledge this while I was doing or saying that? And then I will start to get teary eyed. I'll start to cry a little bit. And then I hate showing Hallie that, but it helps a little bit to understand like, hey, I hear you and I'm very sorry. Next on my list is when I get overwhelmed. Like I'm feeling always like if I'm feeling behind on something, like something is due, like I'm missing a deadline, like I will seriously start to like just get super overwhelmed. If I don't go on a run or if I don't go for a walk, I will start crying. Like those things I need to do to prevent me from crying.
Mm-hmm. Or I just thought of another one. Those are all great, what you said, but do you cry when you get mad? I do.
I don't.
I get so mad at something and so frustrated that I just start crying and I just can't help it.
I do. I get mad. I cry when I get mad sometimes. So when I got really angry at somebody that I knew and I was yelling at them, I always tell myself not to cry, but sometimes it's very difficult. It's actually a skill that people need to learn, like not crying while being angry.
Yeah.
If you need to speak up for yourself, you don't want to show weakness. You don't want to cry in that situation. And so that's something that I've really tried not to do now. It's whenever I do get angry, I try and take it slower because the second you get to a point of anger and you start yelling, you start to like express all your feelings, you're going to start crying and then you're going to say stuff that you don't actually mean.
Yeah, well, that's so true because you become more vulnerable in that way. One of my questions to you is, so you just mentioned difficult conversations. Do you get really emotional after them? Because I feel like I'm able to hold it together during the conversation. And then after majority of them, or at least some of them, I'm in tears.
Afterwards, it's just like all my brain space is that. Sometimes I won't like cry, but it's like taking over my brain. Like I can't stop thinking about anything but that.
Interesting. Okay.
It's not good. My last one is seeing Hallie walk down the aisle.
Aww.
That made me. I've never cried harder than seeing Hallie walk down the aisle.
Oh, it was it's such a big moment.
Yeah.
It's something that you can't really prepare yourself for ever. I think, oh yeah, like you get emotional thinking about it and the anticipation leading up to the day. And then it actually happens and it was just us two in that moment. You're all I saw. I didn't see anybody else.
Yeah.
So, and I cried. Are you kidding me? I was in a mess. I was in tears the entire time. And it's almost built up more, I think, than it needs to be. But at the same time, it's such a big moment. I mean, and even if we would have done a first look or anything prior to our wedding, oh my gosh, we would have been a mess, which I wish we would have done. But regardless, walking down the aisle is such a huge one. I think everybody can relate to that. So I want to move into how this ties into our relationship and things in our relationship that we've had to deal with. What's made us cry, I guess, in our relationship and just how we've kind of dealt with it moving forward. And also, this comes from a question that we received at www.halfpastchild.com. But the question basically is asking, okay, when was the first time that you cried in front of your significant other? Who did it? Was it uncomfortable? And how did you kind of handle that and process that moving forward? My question for you, do you remember? Let's go back. Which one of us cried for the first time in front of the other?
I think it was me, right? Do you remember?
Wait, really? Why would it have been? Wait, okay, explain.
Because I think we got into an argument.
And you cried?
Is that true? Is that true? I don't know.
I thought it was me
When did you cry?
during that argument, or when you proposed to me.
That was the first time?
That would have been, I think, before the argument that we had.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Okay, so I proposed to you. You did cry, but I didn't cry.
I think I got emotional watching the video. So, like, the way you proposed to me, I think I was watching the video and I don't remember. I want to say that I probably did. Let's just say it was me.
You did, because we have a video of you crying when you hugged me.
I was crying?
Yes. You were
Okay,
crying.
well, yes. Let's just say it was me, everybody. It was me. So, it was me during being proposed to. When was the first time that you cried in our relationship?
I'm pretty sure I cried when we had our first argument, which was a money argument. Well, it's probably like second argument. The first argument was a dumb one about this guy, and then it moved into money stuff. And so we had a money argument. And so I had said something that I didn't really mean, and it had related to, I think I didn't trust Hallie with what we were doing. And so that really made me emotional.
Okay, so me seeing you get emotional for the first time, how did I react?
You reacted by crying.
Yeah. Yep,
Hallie.
see? Yep, there you go. You have it.
We were both crying in the car.
Oh, gosh, okay.
And it was very uncomfortable. It wasn't fun, and it sucked in every single way.
It did. So, with that being said, what did we learn about each other in that moment? That we were both... Okay, let's just talk about the first time that we both cried to each other.
Okay.
Because that's not fun. I hated crying in front of you for the first time. I felt embarrassed. I felt ashamed. I don't know. Having somebody see that vulnerable side of you is so hard. Even though you're very close with that person, the first time you do anything with anyone, regardless of what it is, if it's crying or whatever, it's scary. It's intimidating.
I felt very lost in the moment because I thought we were always going to be on the same page. And because we were like in the honeymoon stage and this happens, it feels like the end of the world.
It does.
It feels like we'll never get out of this.
And you learn so much about that person when you see their bad side.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
That too.
Because you don't see that in the honeymoon stage.
You got to see how I reacted in a bad situation, which was terrible. So you had a new vision of who I was. And I got to see how you reacted when I disagreed with you. And then I got to see that whole version of you, which is completely different to like when you used to just agree with everything I said, right? Like, oh my God, she's like, oh, she's on the same page as me. And no couple will ever be on the same page all the time. If that's true, they're lying.
There's no
to
way.
Everyone, okay?
Yeah.
There's going to be times where you guys aren't on the same page. There is another version that does come out in those situations. You just got to learn how to deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And no relationship is perfect. I think that's really important to keep in mind. So whoever did write in this question, know that it is perfectly normal to show your vulnerable side, especially if you feel very close to that person, if you know that you care about each other. And it's okay. It's okay. And that's the beautiful thing too. And we can kind of talk about this later in the end, but knowing now that we've seen all sides of each other and we still choose to love and accept each other, that's what makes our marriage and relationship so special. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people, and I've met a lot of people who are so afraid to disagree with somebody, to have an argument, to show their vulnerable side or show that something clearly upsets them or that, oh, this is an emotional subject for that person, but they won't show it. How do you become close in that way? I think by us sharing our traumas and us being vulnerable with each other, that is what's brought us so close. And that's why our relationship is so deep.
Yeah. It took a long time to get there though.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We were just like attacking each other after that point. I feel like it's like we didn't understand how to handle each other's disagree. Like we didn't know how to handle each other in terms of how to disagree, but in a way that is not threatening or not Mean?
Accusatory?
Accusatory?
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took us a long time to figure that out.
So when we were maybe in a heated argument or the other person was upset, how did we handle that? So I don't know. You can speak to me. What were things maybe that you said or did or to kind of help lessen the intensity of that?
I tried to understand it from your perspective. I was just like, I see where you're coming from. I see that this is how you're feeling. And then I would say, this is how I'm feeling. That usually helps. But a lot of times, the way that you're feeling is not how I explain it. And so then you have the opportunity to then explain how you're really feeling. And that gives me perspective to shut up a little bit and hear what you're saying.
Gotcha.
And that helps a ton.
Well, the one thing I think that you had to learn is to not come for me by saying, it's okay. Is it? It's not okay. Don't ever say that to
Hallie
anybody.
and your wife or your girlfriend is always right. That's what she's trying to say.
No, just like, that's the worst way. Okay, say example time. All right, we're going to act for a little bit.
We're acting.
You're upset. Can you be crying?
It's
okay too?
Yeah.
It's okay. Does that work?
It's not okay.
Yeah, see? Do you see what I mean? It's okay to not be okay. And it's really, is it okay? Probably not. It's not okay. Okay, yeah, you're valid in being upset about something. You don't have to get over it. If you need to feel things and be upset about it and cry about it, then do that. That's how you fully get over things.
Do you know what I learned to stop saying? Why are you upset? And stop crying. Or why are you crying?
You said stop crying?
No,
Damn, if you ever said stop crying, we would not be here today.
I didn't say stop crying. I said, why are you crying? Or like, that's a stupid question.
What? Yeah. Huh?
So I've said that before. I said, why are you crying? And so
it's okay. You've learned since then. You don't say that to somebody.
Stupid question. Stupid thing to say in that kind of environment.
I would say when you are emotional, your biggest thing is you just need me in proximity to you. You need to be kind of held and touched and
not like a baby though. Okay?
Kind of like a baby. Kind of like a baby. No, it's okay. I think that's just how men are, honestly.
Like babies?
Yeah. And we're just here because women have a motherly instinct and we're here to take care of you and to make you feel better. And that's what I do in our relationship.
Yeah.
Yes. But I hold you and I say, you know what? You cry and you need to do whatever you need to do. And I hype you up. And when I'm upset, I feel like sometimes it depends on the situation, but sometimes I need space. Sometimes I just need you to hold me and just tell me that you love me and give me that reassurance. And not that everything's going to be okay. All right. Don't ever say that.
Most of the time it is Hallie needing space. That usually.
But if it depends on if it's an argument versus something that I'm just upset about myself.
That's external. Yeah. There's two different avenues. There's the external versus
it's all
our own internal stuff.
Well, yeah, things that just genuinely upset me, and then things that are the two
relationship based.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, we both have a little bit different, I don't know, comforting styles. Because you like to be held like a baby.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it is. But I think the affirmations and, hyping you up and giving you confidence and kind of bringing that back, that's what's really important.
If this episode resonated with you, make sure you share it with somebody and just let them know you're okay to cry, especially those manly men out there. They cry the most.
Just cry. It's okay.
Yeah.
You're not going to be loved any less because you cry. If anything, I think women or anybody likes that more in general if you just let it out. And me personally, if somebody else is crying, I try and do my best to comfort them. And I think, yeah, it's okay. We can all just cry. Let's just hang out.
And cry. It's a great idea. Thank you guys for watching this episode. If you're interested in donating to Hallie's fundraiser, which is for
Therapists Beyond Borders,
the link is in our bio. It would help a ton. And you would be supporting an amazing cause.
Even $1 helps. If you're just interested in donating at all, please, I encourage you. It's for a really amazing organization, and they could really use your help. So please check that out. Link in our bio if you're interested.
And Half Past Crew, you guys subscribe, like this video, follow the podcast. We will see you next Monday at Half Past Ja.
Thank you, everybody. No, we're not. Don't call me bro.
All right. I should still do.
That's never been my job.
All right, ready? 1,